All right, and then we are moving to target B notes day 2. So we're not done with B notes. Yeah, we wish we were done, right? But we got one more day of notes for target B. And I think the notes for day 2 are easier than the notes that we did for day 1, especially because day 1 was talking about the word problems. Okay, so make sure we are reading those carefully. And then we're moving on to day 2. So again, just a reminder, what are we doing in target B? The target B is to evaluate the domain of a function and understand how function notations can be applied to real world problems. All right, questions 7 and 8 are pretty easy, okay? And these are just filling in the blanks. Okay, so it says write the steps for finding the output of 3x squared plus 5 for an input. So they gave you the output, which is 3x squared plus 5. They're asking you to write the steps, okay, for the input. Remember, if they gave you x, that's what they're asking you. If they gave you x by itself, what will be the first step? So then your answer could look like this, okay? Remember, we have a square, so that means that that will always be your first step. You need to square, okay? So that's my first step, square. Next, you always go what's closer to the x. What's closer to the x is this 3. That means that you're multiplying. Remember, when we have a number with a variable 3x, means it's 3 times x. So if we have 3x squared, that means that the x squared is multiplying with a 3. So step 2 is multiply. Oops. By 3. And the last step, we have the addition of 5. So plus 5. Add 5. And that's it. See how our input, which was just x by itself, now looks like the output? By doing our steps, you square the x, multiply by 3, and then you add by 5. You're doing number 8, okay? Pretty easy. You have 6x squared plus 1. Okay, so the answer for this for step 1, again, you should have stopped the video and try it on your own. Don't be cheaters. All right, so then step 1 for this is square. Step 2 was multiply by 6. And step 3, add 1. Okay, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right, number 9, okay. Just like we were finding the domain and range before, we're going to find the domain and range for graphs, okay. And again, domain is x, variables, x-axis. So x-axis are always on the bottom. Goes horizontal. Remember my picture from target A? Text message, texting your X, texting your Y. The Y is going to be the vertical line, the Y-axis. All right. All I have to do is figure out where's my graph. We're writing the intervals. Remember, intervals are or numbers that tell us where's the least and most. So we're always going to have the least and the most. When we're writing intervals, we're writing the least amount of numbers that x could have and the most numbers that x variables could have. So for domain, okay, the graph we're looking for, I know this is kind of confusing, but we're actually looking at this line right here. This is our graph, okay? So as you can see from the x-axis on the bottom right here, the line starts at 0, so that's the least, and my graph ends all the way to 11. So it goes, the most is 11. Okay. The common mistake that a lot of students do is that they just see the numbers on the x-axis and they say, oh, it's 0 from 12 because the number goes to 12. But that's wrong. You're looking at the graph. Where's the graph stopping? Okay, which is 11 for this one. Okay. You're doing the same thing for, sorry, you're doing the same thing for the y now. Okay. The least, where does the line start? The line starts right here, right? And it's not exactly on my dash right here that I have. And I have 100 on that one, right? That means that this is actually 50. So I want to say it starts around 70. Let me just say 70. Okay, I'm just rounding my numbers here. And the line stops at the last number. So this one actually goes to 500, which is the most. So you guys got to be careful on this one because the range actually starts on an exact number, not 0, okay? So a lot of people make that mistake. Just because the domain starts at 0 doesn't mean that the range has to start from 0, okay? So you're trying number 10, okay? Again, for number 10, it should be pretty easy. You're looking at the line. And again, this line has a point here and a point here, and it goes like this, okay? For number 10, I want you to write your answers and then send the picture to your teacher. Okay. Number 11 and 12. Okay. Number 11 and 12 are easy if we understand what they're asking us. It's another like word problem. So make sure we are reading carefully. Okay. So it says, let f of t be the number of people in millions who own Snuggies t years after 1998. Explain the meaning of the following function. So we need to explain what does this function mean. Okay, well, let's understand what does each variable mean, first of all, okay? Remember, f of t, just because it has the letter t doesn't change anything. It means the same thing. F of t means the range, the output, which means the y, okay? F of t is saying that number of people. This is saying is the number of people over time. Number of people over time. And t, okay, t means years after 19, so years after 1998. Okay, so it didn't just say years, it just said years after 98. So they gave you a specific date and it's saying years after that date. So if they're saying that it's f of 11, that means that it's 11 years after, because remember f of t, okay, let me give you this. 11 is t, and we know that t means years after 1998. So it's 11 years after 1998, sorry. So to figure out what this function means, you need to figure out what year they're talking about. All you're going to do is do 1998 plus 11, because it's 11 years after, and that's going to give me 2009. Okay, so to explain the meaning, so my answer for this is actually saying that in 2009, 90.8, and again, where am I getting that 90.8 from? The function right here. 90.8 million people, and again, how do I know it's millions? Because they told me in millions. Okay, so 90.8 million of people, million people, oh, there you go. 98.8 million of people own Snuggies. That's what it means, okay? There you go. This is my final answer. So the key thing here is that you need to figure out the years after the specific date. Then you can explain to me what it means, okay? It's not saying at 11 years. That's not what it's saying, okay? If they just gave you that t means years, then yeah, in the year 11, in 11 years, we would have 98.8 million people owning Snuggies. However, they didn't say that. They say years after 1998. That's why we're adding the 11. Okay. All right, and then you're trying number 12. Send a picture of your work. We'll be glad to help you if you show your work and you try your problems. Again, these are worth 3 points. Okay. They are the most important questions on your test. So make sure you send your pictures and you practice. All right.